All right. So, good morning,
Good
Professor
morning.
Ridenour. Nice to
Good
see
morning.
you. We're going to interview today just to talk about your class and who you are for Austin scholars who might not know you and might have you in the future.
Mhm.
So, I want to get started and talk about how did you really get into teaching?
That's a great question. I actually became interested in teaching when I was an undergraduate and I was taking a class. I was a journalism major and I always enjoyed writing. And I took an ethics class and I guess I was hooked. I changed majors and I didn't stop. And I got to the point where near my junior, senior year, my professor, I talked to him and he mentioned PhD programs and it was from there, but it just made a lot of sense. I also TA'd, not unlike we today have TAs. So I TA'd for my professor and really enjoyed that experience, in that sense, leading discussions with my peers who were freshmen, sophomores, and I was again hooked and just kept going.
Terrific. Coming from an education major, you know that hook. Once you get there, you don't want to let it go. It's amazing. It's a great feeling. But how long have you been teaching?
So I've been teaching at Merrimack since 2014.
Oh,
So I think we're going on 7 years now,
that's incredible.
in my seventh year. So it's been a great experience, very, very rewarding.
And have you always been with Austin Scholars? What's your opinion on them? What do
Oh,
you think about the Austin Scholars?
the Austin Scholars has been an excellent program at Merrimack and a wonderful addition. I have really enjoyed, I was teaching the social ethics course. I also teach bioethics. That's my applied area that I research in, and I've enjoyed teaching that. And some of the Austin Scholars actually take that class. But when we began the Austin Scholars and included the social ethics course, the thing I found most rewarding is what we call as educators scaffolding, in which students are building on what they have learned. And so the program really does work well, that it moves from Christianity in context. It has the New Testament element, the Augustine course with Joe Kelly and others. And so then by the time I have them, I am building on previous knowledge. And that's very rewarding, as well as the service component, which is obviously an excellent community engagement, and it's excellent for the students, it's excellent for experiential learning and for the ways we reflect in the classroom.
That's amazing. I love that. And so, like you covered a little bit about that, how you teach social ethics, the Christian perspectives.
Yes.
And I always wondered, for people who might not, who are going to take that class, what's the purpose of learning about social ethics?
Well, that's a great question as well. I always say ethics is, that's the gateway to questions about the meaning of life, questions about why we're here, what is the good life, questions around right and wrong. And so ethics is really integral and significant for all of life. And I think it has a lot of real world applications. Social ethics, in some ways, is drawing from what is the world we live in, the societies we inhabit, the problems we experience, and then it's social ethics, Christian perspectives, as you mentioned. It's housed in theology and religious studies. So social ethics is always engaged in this discipline in conversation with theology and philosophy. So you see really those three, it's interdisciplinary by design, and you see those different disciplines are actually functioning methodologically as we move through the class and the syllabus.
For sure. I know, trust me, I've definitely seen that. And I think you covered this as well, but I wanted to ask what makes it unique over all the other classes we've taken as Austin Scholars. We've taken a bunch, with Intro to the New Testament and also with what was the other class? What was that?
Yeah, the Augustine
The
course.
Augustine, of course,
Yeah.
yes, that class. I love that one too.
Mhm.
And I was wondering what makes it unique versus the other ones.
So part of it is, I mean, certainly the question of ethics is, and the way I try to design it is I start with a question of the real world. What does it mean to be social? And everything from, I use examples of, we start with virtue and then we do the primates of Park Avenue, only to look at the question of what does it mean to be social and how do we question the social environment we're in. And then we have applied issues tied to issues of racial injustice, or we're looking particularly in this year at technology and how technology is the world we're in some ways we're living in. We're all involved in technology even right now. We are,
Right now, exactly.
communicating by Zoom.
Exactly.
How is social media impacting our relationships? Are we fully, a part of the question I want to ask through ethics is what does it mean to live the good life and a really fully human life that leads to flourishing? And in what ways is technology possibly dehumanizing us in ways we don't really see? How's that impacting our relationships and the ways we communicate, both interpersonally, but also just political ethics? I think it's certainly this year we've been impacted by our political discourse through the medium of technology. There's something missing. So part of ethics is looking at what other disciplines would call empathy, is that kind of what's built through the face-to-face relationship, that engagement, that encounter, which in Christian theology, there's the engagement with God and the neighbor. Who is the neighbor as divine gift? What does it mean to really treasure and encounter the neighbor, and seek in that encounter to learn, not just label and, in a sense, how someone figured out on the front end, but to really engage and learn through that kind of really human relationship.
Terrific. Yeah, lovely answer. And I think once people are in that class, they're going to understand how unique it truly is. Like you said as well, it's very real world based. You're going to understand what's being talked about. You are going to experience what's talked about, and it really shines a new light on it. So lovely. But I also want a little question about you. What's your favorite part about teaching that class? Do you have a little thing that sticks out?
I enjoy the class because I like to change it up. I like using, here's a theory, and then we're going to watch something like clips from The
Yeah,
Social Dilemma, or we're going to watch even clips from Spider-Man, and we're showing you like
yeah,
different
yeah.
clips from different ages.
I
You
was gonna
know,
say the
great.
clips. The clips
Right,
are great.
right. With great power comes great responsibility. But the idea is we have freedom as humans. Not Marvel comics here, but we have freedom, and what are we going to do with that? Which is the ethical question. What does it mean to be responsible to the neighbor, to the world, and really also to yourself? There's a movement between the neighbor, the world, the self, and even God in an Augustinian perspective.
Yeah, for me as well, the little 15-minute conversation we have at the end of the class is
Mhm.
one of my favorites too. You just get to sit down with a little group and you
Oh,
just talk and you kind of share ideas, you learn different perspectives. That's probably one of my favorite parts as well.
well, yes, yes. Actually, I should say what I learned from the students, when the students respond, whether it's the questions in class, that the fact that we have reflection woven in,
Mhm.
that is so critical to this learning experience. So the students offer from there what they've reflected on, but also new ideas that are generated in the class. And the fact that we have them in groups and we've been able to manage that in COVID, I think is really wonderful. And in a hybrid context, we actually have an excellent remote group in your class.
Of course, that's what I know. We wish it was longer, the conversations, because we just get in on it. It's like 15 minutes isn't enough to cover it all. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
yes.
Now that whole participation part, to have everybody included, and they mean what they say. They actually really have a lot of heart to it, and that's amazing. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, and I actually have a last question though. Do you have any advice for the future Austin scholars or people who want to take the social ethics, Christian perspectives class?
My advice is give it your best and absorb.
Mhm.
Really, this is, college is a unique experience. It's time, which we're not really always aware of, is so valuable. And the fact that you have time now to really study and build relationships, which is what the Austin Scholars Program is designed to do, and build the relationships outside through service, which is so valuable because you get to engage the world outside and then come back into the community. That movement back and forth, just really capitalize on this time. Um, Life is short, time is short, it moves fast. I can say that now, 20 years with college in the rearview mirror. So really savor this time and give it your all, and be rewarded and be surprised. Allow yourself to be surprised by what you can learn in the classroom and what you can learn from each other through this community.
Certainly. 4 years fly by. I've already had almost two in my rear mirror, and it's amazing how quickly things kind of fly. You're right. Well said. I think that ends on a really strong note. Professor Ridenour, I'd like to thank you for taking the time talking about your class, and look forward to learning some more. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Antonio. It was a pleasure. Bye-bye.